So yeah, hello, Brandon.
Allegedly, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Whatever he said, I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
I was gonna praise you, but since you didn't do it, then I'm not gonna praise you.
Oh.
That's too bad. So first question. When I asked you if you want to do this podcast in English or in Chinese, you picked English, and I'm curious why.
Because when I think in Chinese, 我会结巴, I stutter and I have to think much more. I mean, English is my main language, right? It goes English, Chinese, then Spanish, and then, mishmashes of stuff. But those are
Really?
order of fluency.
All right. So a little bit about your background. Your father is African American,
Correct.
and your mother is Taiwanese,
Yes.
and you grew up in Taiwan.
Yeah, for the most part.
But okay, so how come English? You're much more comfortable with English than with Chinese?
Because I had English schooling like my whole life. My only Chinese schooling was first to second grade local Taiwanese school. And then I took like a year of Chinese in university. That's it. So
Wow.
honestly, my Chinese ain't that great. I had to learn a lot as an adult after moving back or having Chinese jobs,
You say after moving back, where's that back from?
back from the US, from university.
Oh, so you went to university in the US.
Yes, yes.
But up until university, you lived in Taiwan.
Pretty much in Taiwan, yeah.
Okay. So, okay, I would like to know more about your whole family history because that's very interesting. You don't see too many Black Taiwanese biracial kids in Taiwan. It's still very rare, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And your father was
the
quite
ones,
prominent too, right?
yeah, he's like pretty well known. It's funny because I know all the Blasian families. There's not that many, like at least with American blacks and Taiwanese couples. Like they're all like my family friends. Like we all kind of grew up.
Yeah.
And so the way my parents met was my Asian side of the family. They immigrated to the U.S. in the 80s, and so my Chinese grandpa, he opened up a restaurant in Washington D.C., a Chinese restaurant. And at the time, my dad actually worked in the area. He worked in the DC area, and he'd go in for food because he was already had been an exchange student in Taiwan, and he majored in Chinese, so he had pretty good Chinese at the time.
Wow.
And my grandpa would say, "Oh, 这个黑人说中文真流利. Oh, this black guy speaks perfect Chinese. You gotta meet him." So he introduces him to my mom, and I guess they hit it off. They start dating. Oh, he's cool with that. But as soon as they said, "Oh, we want to get married," my grandpa was like, "你怎么可以跟黑人结婚? Like, you're not gonna marry a black man. You're a disgrace to the family. You're an embarrassment.
Wow.
Don't talk to my friends. You just get out of my life." So
Crazy.
that's why they eloped and they went to Taiwan originally.
Okay, so your grandfather, your mother's father, was in the United States,
Yes,
but
yes.
he was against Black people, basically.
He was against the idea of marrying a black person, but he was the one who introduced my parents originally, which is odd, right?
Yeah, so you can date him, but you cannot marry him.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
He was like, "You gotta marry a Chinese guy."
Is your grandfather still around?
No, he passed away when I was in middle school.
Have you ever talked to him about this?
No, actually, I never really got the chance. But it's funny because I think after I was born, that was when he kind of cooled off. He was like, "Oh, grandson, carry on the Sue family name. You know how strong I am. Impressive grandson." I remember
Wow.
he used to feed me xiaolongbao and be like, "You got to do push-ups while you eat these xiaolongbao. You're gonna get strong one day."
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, but okay, let's go back to your father. How come your father studied Chinese? I think back like 30, 40 years ago, that must have been really special.
It was
right?
honestly, it was fluke. So he went to university in Dartmouth, and I think he wanted to study Russian.
Really?
That was what he wanted to study. Yeah,
What?
super random. And he couldn't get into the Russian class. So he was like, the teacher was, "Hey, you want to try Chinese?" And he said, "All right, I'll try my hand." And I think he didn't really like it at first. And the teacher said, "Hey, if you stay, I will guarantee you get at least a C because we're like running out of people who want to take Chinese.
I thought you were gonna say, hey, if you stay, you're gonna get a lot of Chinese chicks. No, that's not the reason. Okay.
I don't know how the teacher would offer that, but he just has
experience, you know. I know you can get a lot of Chinese chicks if you speak a little bit of Chinese. Where your Chinese is amazing. Date me.
So this is personal experience then from your side.
No, not really.
Sasha's teacher bribed him. You heard it first here. If you learn Chinese, Sasha, I can get you many nice Chinese women.
So okay, anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
So it was fluke, and he stayed in the Chinese class, and he ultimately liked it, and he's been learning Chinese ever since. He did an exchange program in Donghai Daxue. That's in Taiwan, I believe. Yeah, and then he came back to the U.S. and he's working, doing some translation work. And I honestly, I was surprised when I found out. I only found this out 2 years ago that he actually translated one of the first versions of the Merriam-Webster dictionary, Chinese to English version.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I've always known his Chinese is at a very high level. Like when I ask my parents for help about some translation things, I ask my dad. I don't really ask my mom because she'll be like, "Go ask your dad," because he knows. He's like the dude is a dictionary.
Yeah, I've watched some of your clips on Instagram where your father is helping you act out some funny stuff or commenting on your things, and his Chinese is freaking amazing. I mean, I know a lot of older foreigners who've lived in Taiwan for a long time, and really, I don't know many that really speak Chinese that well. It's really impressive.
I mean, he goes hard, you know, he reads the 国日报 every day, and he like takes out like 成语 he doesn't know, like the idioms he doesn't know. He'll look them up and like learn them. So he really puts a lot of effort into it, and I guess it shows.
So it's crazy.
His work,
What do you mean his work? What's his work?
So his employees are all Chinese, right? He has to manage a kitchen of like 200 Chinese speaking people. Wow. So you have to have some level of Chinese to communicate.
But he was always drawn to foreign languages. So even initially wanted to study Russian. Do you know where that comes from? Does it have to do with what he wanted to do in the future in his life, or?
I'm not too sure. I think he wanted to be a diplomat. That's what he wanted to do. Because before he was working for the U.S. Embassy. And he was doing some work there, and then I think they were like offering gigs in different parts of the world. You know, like you get to choose. But as a young person, you don't get the best choice of country to go to. So he was saying how, at first they were offering like Nigeria and something else, and he said it was like $100K a year, like in the 80s, but nobody wanted to go. Like everyone was like, nah, we're good. Like all expenses paid for. They pay for your rent, everything. But Nigeria, and nobody wanted to go because it was really dangerous back then.
Wow.
Yeah, especially if you're like a American diplomat, like some of these countries you go to, like not everyone's like enthused about Americans.
Yeah. How old were your parents when they met?
I think they were in their mid 20s.
And your father had never been to Taiwan at that point?
I think he had for the Taiwan exchange program. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he kind of fled here from your mother's father, he knew what he was getting into. Was that really a long-term plan to come here, or was it just like, let's go to Taiwan for now and then maybe go back later to the US? Or?
Yeah, I think that was the plan. They originally came here because they wanted to start a business. It was very funny. I was talking to them about this like 2 days ago because I was making pancakes. And my dad was like, did you know my original idea when I first came to Taiwan was to start a pancake restaurant?
Wow.
And they said the idea just flopped. Like nobody wanted pancakes back then. So they ended up with fried chicken. They eventually did a fried chicken.
So they went the cliche way.
The only thing black people think
sorry, we got two
man.
things on the menu. We got fried chicken and watermelon on the menu.
Yeah, honestly, that's what it was. Fried chicken and pancakes, and the pancakes sold terribly, but the fried chicken did well, so he went with that.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
it's funny that your your Taiwanese grandparents live in the U.S. and your American father comes to Taiwan. It's like
Yeah,
really flipped worlds. Um,
exactly. Like all my Asian side of the families in the US, and like some of my Asian uncles, like my mom's brothers, they're super redneck, man. They like drive big
really?
trucks, like shoot guns, like they're just American through and through.
Wow. So is your immediate, like your parents and you, are you the only really part of your immediate family that live in Taiwan?
I have one aunt and some of her like children, but other than that, everyone else is in the US.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. That is pretty
Maybe some
crazy.
more distant relatives down south, but we're not in contact with them.
Yeah. So how was it growing up? Uh I don't, did you feel like an immigrant kid, or do you see yourself Taiwanese or American?
I
What
mean,
did you feel like?
you're third culture, man. You don't like exactly fit in here or there. Like if I spend enough time in the US, people eventually say, "Oh, you're not really like black, man. You're like an Asian guy." And I'm like, "What?" Like it's like it leaks out
Yeah.
over time.
What
Whereas
do
in
they mean
Taiwan,
by
yeah.
that? Do you have any
I
stories you can
think
share?
it'll just be things like, "Oh, like you don't play basketball at all. You you
You
don't get
don't play
certain
basketball
cultural."
at all.
I
That
do
is
not.
weird
Yeah.
because okay, you're very athletic
Yeah.
and you grew up in Taiwan where basketball is really popular. So how come you
Right.
never played basketball? That's very strange.
I mean, I did in lower school. That was really the last time I played it seriously. But I chose rugby as my sport in track and field. So that's what I did from middle school onwards.
I didn't know even know there was rugby in Taiwan.
Yeah, they have it. Like the Aboriginals, they're good, man. Yeah,
Wow. Okay, that's why
they're
your
pretty good.
shoulders are that wide because you played a lot of rugby, huh?
Yeah, I think they're starting thinking of doing a movie about them called Boom.
Oh my god. All right.
I stole that joke. It's not original.
Okay. Where did you steal it from?
Chris D'Elia is a
Oh,
comedian.
okay. I'm gonna have to try to set you up a few more times. You got some good one-liners.
Stupid.
So you what was your upbringing like? Having your mixed parents, both kind of your father was your father really into Taiwanese culture when he came here? Or because like some people speak Chinese really well, like I speak relatively well, right? But
Right.
my mentality is not Taiwanese at all. So what is your father's mentality like?
I think he does he's ingratiated himself pretty well into the Taiwanese culture, I'd say. Because he's always learning and he's always learning Chengyu and he's looking for opportunities to use them and silly jokes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of Taiwanese friends. Like that's like he makes a point to hang out with Taiwanese friends. Like I feel like a lot of his friends, yeah, it's like almost like 70% Taiwanese, which is normal since there's more Taiwanese in Taiwan.
I wouldn't say that's normal at all. Most
Right, for
foreigners,
foreigners, right?
right?
They
I think
hang out
most
in their
foreigners in
the cliques.
Taiwan still have more foreign friends than Taiwanese friends, at least the
Yeah,
ones I know. So he
yeah.
was super like how do you say it? Adapted? No, what would you say? I'm missing the English word. It's like if you spend too
Right,
much
that's
time
what
in
I was trying
Taiwan.
to think of earlier. I was like ingratiated. That's I mean, like yeah,
He's
he's adapted well,
yeah, yeah, it's incredible. So then
incorporated himself well into it.
yeah. So when you were born, are you the first child in your family or the only child in your
Yes,
family?
I am the first, the leader, and the strongest. I have one younger sister.
So how was that like? What was your education like from your parents' side, and how did they raise you?
So when I was younger, my parents made a point. My dad would always speak English to me, and my mom would speak Chinese only. And so they've carried that up even till now. Like it's funny, I speak to my dad in Chinese, he'll reply in English all the time. And it wasn't until like, I don't know, like 5, 6 years ago, I was like, hey, why do you always speak English to me, but you speak Chinese to mom? And he would be like, oh, that's probably because back in the day we made a conscious effort to do that for you. Um, Yeah, and they basically sent me to wherever my language needed help. So when I was in preschool, I was in local school. Actually, my first language was Chinese. I grew up speaking Chinese first. My first words were go go, like doggy in Chinese.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
Doggy.
okay, your
Okay.
English is
I get
yeah,
where
yeah,
you're
yeah,
going.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, this guy. So they said, okay, your English needs help. So then they sent me to kindergarten in the U.S. And so I did like a year in Virginia in kindergarten, and then I came back here, back to local Taiwanese school.
Why Virginia?
That's where my Asian side of the family is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all in Fairfax.
Hmm.
Yeah. Then local Taiwanese school, and then after that, I went to the American school, and that's where I learned English
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the time.
I so far I seem to have a thread, a common theme in my podcast without really
Yeah.
aiming for it. A lot of my guests were bullied as kids because they were different from the other kids. So
Yes.
I'm very curious. You probably must have some experience like that, right? As a maybe.
I mean, will you take a look at this guy? You think I was bullied? You think? Not actually, yeah, it was. I mean, that's why I work out hard and do jujitsu and all that stuff, because I was bullied when I was younger.
So, you were born in Taiwan. The first few years of your life you spent in Taiwan, but then their parents were like, "Okay, his English is probably not really that good yet, so let's send him to kindergarten in the U.S."
Yeah.
Did your parents go with you? Were you alone? How did you?
My mom went with me. Yeah, my mom went with me. My dad stayed.
So, how was that going to kindergarten in the U.S. after having grown up in spending some years in Taiwan?
It was fine. It's way more diverse there. Like, I wasn't bullied or anything. Yeah, I remember it being a good time. It was coming back to local Taiwanese school that was rough. And even my preschool was rough. That was when I probably got bullied the most. Like, I got beat up. And then the thing was, if I told the teacher, I'm like, "Hey, teacher, like, they hit me," the teachers would be like, "Okay, you guys were fighting. We're gonna beat all of you." So I would get 2 beatings.
So in Taiwan, kindergarten teachers beat kids.
Oh, yo, back in the day, they beat the shit out of us. Like,
what?
it was,
That
you
is
got whooped
crazy.
for everything. And the parents encouraged it. They're like, "Hey, if my son's not behaving, whoop his ass."
Damn.
Like, good. Like, capital punishment was big back then.
Capital punishment.
The two things that I don't like till this day are dried mushrooms and sigua. That's like, what is that? Like some kind of squash.
Yeah, some kind of squash.
It's a particular squash. It's very
Yeah.
slimy. But those 2 things we had to eat all the time in that preschool. We had it like maybe
dried
twice a week or
mushrooms.
something. Dried mushroom, fried rice. That's what they'd make all the time.
Why dried mushroom? That sounds kind of
It's
like
that-
a magic
it's
mushroom.
It's that dried mushroom that they rehydrate and they cook with. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
Yeah, and it has like a strong flavor.
Right,
Yeah, and
right.
so if we didn't finish our food, they would beat us. But we would still have to finish our food after they beat us. So I hated that.
Crazy.
Just tastes like childhood misery and abuse.
And your parents were okay with that, or did they know about
they're
it?
like, "Oh, beat his ass." Yeah, they encouraged it. But that was everyone's mentality back then.
Did your parents beat you as a kid?
Oh yeah, my dad did.
Yeah, with the belt.
Yeah, with the belt that he folded in half.
Oh my god!
I still have some memories of like running around the coffee table trying to avoid my dad. He's like chasing me.
It's just rugby practice. Hey, just I'm gonna make you the best
trying to
rugby
juke
player
out my dad.
Avoid
come
my
here.
belt.
Come here, son. I'm not gonna hurt you. Just come here real quick. I just want to talk real quick, okay?
Crazy. Okay, so you were bullied in preschool.
Yeah.
What do you remember what they called you? Was your Chinese really good back then, or?
Yeah, it was good. It was I was native pretty much back then. I still remember it was like this trio. There was this really tall girl, because girls grow real big earlier on. There was a real tall girl, a real tall boy, and then this really short, small boy, and they'd always bully me. They'd always beat me up. They'd be like, okay, let's play like Power Rangers or whatever. And I'd always be the bad guy, and then they'd beat me up. And then the rules would always be, you can't kick. We can kick and do everything, but you're limited to not kicking. And then kick, you know.
Were you
like
were
really,
you aware? But because you were kind of playmates, right?
kind of, but like, yeah, it wasn't.
Were you
a
aware
play
what
that
they
I
were doing?
enjoyed. Yeah, I didn't like it.
Hmm.
But it's like when you're at that age, I don't know, you don't really know that you can. I mean, I do remember if I tried to say no, they would just, the game would go on whether or not you wanted to participate, right? You're the villain. Like they're gonna pummel you.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did that continue in elementary school?
In Taiwanese school, yeah. It was it would be always kids from other classes because you have your homeroom class.
Yeah.
And so all the kids in my homeroom class I was cool with, but it seemed like the kids outside of that class, they didn't know me, they'd bully me.
Really? And you didn't have any friends who would protect you or speak up for you?
Yeah, they try to step up, but they would just get bullied too, because it would always be like a ton of kids versus few, so it never, yeah. And I still remember this one day, my dad comes to pick me up after basketball practice. And I said, hey, Dad, those are the kids who kept calling me nigger and like the bad words, And he goes, oh, okay. Like he didn't do anything. And I was so mad at him back then. I was like, man, like this guy can't even protect me. Like, what do I do? Like your parent figure doesn't have your back.
Right.
So what do you do? Like if my kid came to and said that to me, I'd go over and I'd be like, hey, you ever do that again, I'm gonna yeah. You don't even have to hit them or anything, but it's just that you gotta like show some backing. Like
was that an American school, elementary school, or
no, it was a local Taiwanese school.
Taiwanese school.
Longan Guoxiao, actually.
So they would call you the Chinese word like Heigui, or what would they call it? I don't understand. What?
Just a lot of stupid names.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
oh, your skin's made of shit. And
really?
Like yeah. All that.
Holy
kind of stuff.
Fuck! That is crazy. That is weird. I remember when I was in kindergarten. There was like in my small city in Germany, we didn't have many immigrant kids where I was, at least.
Right.
And there was one black kid, and I was so excited to have him there. I was like, he wasn't in my group, but I think he wasn't there for very long. But the first day I saw him, I was like so excited. I was like, because that was the first time I ever saw a black person in my life.
Yes.
And I was just, his hair is so different. And I was like 3 or 4, I was like 4 years old, maybe not older than 5. And I was touching his hair. And I'm like, your hair is so cool. And I wanted to talk to him, wanted to be friends with him. I would never think that I want to bully him because he looks different. I was just super excited that I saw somebody who looks so different. So it's weird to me that people get, they immediately want to go bully somebody who looks so different. I'd be like, I'd just be curious. That's just me. So I don't know where that comes from, that these kids have these tendencies to do that, because
it's definitely passed down trauma. Like the problematic kids, it's always because their parents treat them a certain way. Their parents talk down to them. I mean, that's pretty big in Taiwanese culture. Your parents, no matter what you do, they're gonna talk shit about you. They're gonna put you down. That's just the way they relate. Like I see my grandma, the first thing she says is, oh, you've gotten fat or you've gotten thin. And it's like comments like this, or you've been making money, or are you fucking around? Are you getting married, or are you still a piece of shit? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm really lucky that my family never really did that at all. They were very encouraging, I would say. I mean, they didn't really, I think on the one hand, what I like about Taiwanese parents, generally speaking, of course, there are always exceptions, but that they make their kids do some things like learn instruments. I think my parents were too just letting me do my own thing, whatever. They didn't have any guidance for me. They didn't tell me, hey, you should learn an instrument or something. Now in my 30s, I'm like, I wish I could have studied some more music when I was younger, like a lot of Asian kids do. But on the other hand, I'm really glad that my parents were very warm and positive and didn't like discourage me from doing anything. And so your father's basically the way he raised you was a little bit more Taiwanese than the typical American father, or?
Um, I mean, I don't really know what a a stereotypical Taiwanese father would be like,
Yeah.
but my dad's emphasis was always on health and sports. You know, he wanted me to be healthy. I remember when when I was in kindergarten, I was the worst at sports in my grade.
Really?
I was super uncoordinated, had no stamina. Just I chalk it down to needing more milk, man. I didn't drink mother's milk growing up. I didn't have that edge, bro. I didn't have the
Yeah.
milk.
Yeah.
So I was horrible. We were running track. I was last place, and I think my dad was like, "What is going on?" Because this guy was the guy who was about to go to the Olympics for track and field. So he's like, "Well, there's something wrong with this kid." So he got me a personal trainer. And I remember we, do jump ropes. The trainer would have me do jump ropes and push-ups, and in return, I'd get like little toys and stuff to motivate me.
You had a personal trainer in kindergarten.
Yeah.
that is the craziest thing I've ever. Your father is an Olympic athlete.
Olympic caliber. We never
so
got
he's
to
like,
go. Yeah.
Damn, my son is a wuss. I gotta get him a personal trainer. He's bringing shame on our family.
Yeah.
Damn.
But honestly, ever since after that, I was way better. I became athletic.
Wow. So it's not black genes, like a lot of people
No,
think.
not necessarily. Yeah. So a lot of it's nature, like, for example, when I was younger, whenever I wanted to play tag, I would have to run laps around the track. I'd have to run 4 laps around the track, run a mile before I could play tag, which is a physical activity in and of itself.
Wow. So your father was pretty strict, kind of like a military kind of guy, right?
I wouldn't say he wasn't super strict, but he definitely had that edge to him.
Yeah.
If I ever acted up or I was being crazy at home, like, he'd be like, "All right, we're going out. You're gonna run some laps." Yeah, just like drain the battery on the kid.
How involved was your mom in your whole education? Was she more like, "Oh yeah, you do your thing, Dad," or husband? And
she was more about, "Oh, you gotta do well in school." They never demanded that I get straight A's, but they always wanted me to put in the effort. My mom was always by my side. I remember when I first transferred to Taiwanese school from the US in like first grade, my Chinese was so bad that my mom would have to come in and help translate the test while I took the test. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. Yeah.
But at least they allowed that. That is pretty cool.
Right? It's super random. I was like, what kind of test was I doing at first and second grade?
And she's secretly giving you all the answers. Son, by the way, it's B, it's C.
My son is the best. He's so smart.
So your mom's English is pretty good too.
Yeah. She moved to the US when she was in middle school, when 8th grade.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So she's decent English.
Do you feel like your mom's mentality is pretty American?
It is definitely more Americanized, like in terms of, she doesn't have the academic pressure. I still had to play those instruments when I was little. I played the piano and violin, and stuff like that. But I don't think they were as strict about that.
Yeah, she wasn't a tiger
like when
mom.
I was older, I was able to go party, go clubbing and stuff. And, some Taiwanese parents would never allow you to set foot in the club, but they were relatively okay with all that.
When did you have your first girlfriend?
My first girlfriend?
Yeah.
When I was 17. Yeah.
How was that?
High school.
I have 2 questions. First of all, how did your parents react? And also, did you find it hard to date girls being half black, maybe not being so accepted by a lot
and
of people?
Is your penis more black or Asian?
and how big is how big it is?
Well, it's normal for me, whatever size it is, it's normal to me.
It's normal for me. It's pretty normal.
That's my favorite thing. Torden always says, it's normal for me.
Yeah. So for everybody who's listening, we have a friend Torden who's very well endowed, and he's got
a hog. He's got a hog. The guy comes next to me while I'm in the bathroom.
Right.
He looks over the urinal at me, and I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look at you. You look at me, I look at you. And I was like, oh my God.
Big mistake.
Jesus. Big mistake. That guy, oh my God. That guy probably starts pissing 10 minutes before he gets in the restroom. The time to travel through the urethra is just absurd,
Yeah. We all know.
I'm sorry. What was your question?
The thing is with Thor, we all talked about it on TV shows before. Like
all the time,
it's like
right?
the whole country knows that this guy has a big dick. And I can only imagine how many girls privately come to him like, I have to see this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, the question was, what was my question? Your dating life when you started dating in high school? How was that for you? On the one hand with the girls and also with your parents?
My parents were always very supportive. They just wanted someone that I liked and treated me well. And my first girlfriend, she was really cool. She was actually like my next door neighbor. She lived one building over from me, so it was pretty cool. We'd meet up in the B1 parking lot and talk
and talk. Okay,
romanticize and yeah.
So your parents were like, no, you shouldn't have any girlfriend now. You should focus on school or stuff like that.
So it's funny because my mom would always say that. She'd say, you don't need a girlfriend. You need to focus on school. You go to college, you don't need a girlfriend. Focus on school. But when I do get a girlfriend, she loves it. She pampers them, and she just
That's good.
my mom's a sweetheart. She's a sweetie pie. So
yeah. And then I don't know what it's like to go to American school in Taiwan because the only kids that I had contact with were students that I taught maybe English or German. They all went to normal local Taiwanese schools. Right. Can you describe a little bit? I don't know if you're familiar with Taiwanese schools, like local kind of schools, but what's American school in Taiwan like?
So I would say it was very international prior to when I was in high school. Like when I was in middle school, lower school, it was almost 50-50 foreigners and ABC, like American-born Chinese, Taiwan/Taiwanese. Then I think China opened up, business was booming, and all the foreigners left, and it became like maybe 5 to 10% foreigners.
Wow.
And mostly Taiwanese. And I feel like that changed the culture a lot as a whole. It became much more, everyone's just super rich kids, and the whole rich international school vibe thing.
It's pretty snobby.
Much more prominent. Yes, more snobby. Yeah. But at the same time, our schools were very focused on academics. Like even among all the international schools in Asia, like the school I went to, Taipei American School, was considered the geekiest. We were the most academic. Like we didn't have love lives, like we didn't party and hook up and stuff. Like if someone made out with someone, you would know within a week and everyone would know. And it was just such gossip. But meanwhile, all the other international schools, they're having sex already and doing the,
How many international schools are there in Taiwan? Because I only know Taipei American School.
Oh, there's a lot in Taiwan. I mean, there's Taipei American School, Taipei European School. Those are the two biggest ones. And then there's like a bunch like Kangqiao and Kaohsiung American School.
And
there's a bunch of other ones.
Do you know kids from the other schools? Do you hang out at all?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I knew. Yeah.
So
you meet them out clubbing and whatnot.
So basically
people transfer in.
The international school kids are kind of like a exclusive club that all know each other. Do they have a lot of events, or how come you hang out with kids from the other school?
Just because I think if you go clubbing and whatnot, or we socialize and stuff, because everyone speaks English, right? So you're already in that crowd. Like you're not only speaking Chinese, so you're gonna be. It's just like a different section.
Yeah. If you ever have kids, would you like them to go to an American school as well?
I think it's great, honestly, for education. I mean, we had AP and IB program both in American school. It was awesome. There were a ton of classes to choose from. The resources were amazing. But at the same time, I feel like it's important to get some schooling from other schools, like local Taiwanese school. I think local Taiwanese school, it would be great for kids to go when they're in lower school and middle school, because those kids learn a lot then, man. I remember when I was in Taiwanese school, like first, second grade, we're already learning Jojo Tsenfapia. We're already learning multiplication, but
Hmm.
Americans in American school in America, you don't learn that till maybe fifth, sixth grade,
Really?
behind. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
learned that in third grade in Germany.
Okay.
Wow.
That's why
Okay.
Americans suck at math, man.
Damn, horrible. Yeah, fifth grade, that's way too late. We have
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I think we start algebra or something in I don't know. I don't what am I talking? My math sucks. I'm bad. Okay, so then you went to college in the United States. How's that transition graduating from a Taiwanese school? Did you have to take an SAT in Taiwan, or how does it
Yeah,
work?
you take an SAT.
Uh-huh. And then
Honestly, the transition to school over there, I think, is pretty easy because I already was going to an American school, so all the cultural references. We speak English. Um, yeah, it's not too hard of a transition. I think the biggest transition is making new friends because the TAS / international school circle is pretty small, and everyone tends to stick together. A lot of kids who go abroad from TAS, they end up hanging out still with people from those circles.
mhm.
Yeah.
Where
And
did you
so
go
I
to
think
college?
that's Claremont McKenna. So that's liberal arts college east of LA.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
was really your first time living in California or LA.
Yeah, long term, anyways. I'd go into summers sometimes in the
Uh-huh.
past, but yeah,
How was
long
that like
term.
for you?
It was, I'd say, one of the biggest things that was a culture shock was just how there's a lot more people who aren't kind. There's a lot more not good people. Like in Taiwan, it's a bubble. Like everyone's really nice. Like even the mean people here or the
Even the
the
bullies?
shitty people, even the bully, they're not that bad. Like in America, you meet some people who, they're bad. They're bad. There's some crazy people. There's some people who just want to use you. That there's a lot more of that. You're very shielded in Taiwan, and I
Yeah.
think in America, I had to learn pretty quick. Like, hey, these guys aren't your friends. They're only hitting you up because they want to have your, they want you to pay for food or for drinks or for something else, or this or that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after what did you study there?
I studied international relations with a leadership sequence, so that would set me up to come out and be a diplomat.
Wow.
Like
So
studying econ, government classes, and a language, which was Chinese for me.
so you're kind of walking in your father's shoes that he didn't really pursue.
Yeah, but I honestly just wanted a general degree to get it over with and do whatever I wanted. I never, I felt like college was always something that my parents were like, you got to do. And I never was fully like, yeah, I really want to go to college.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. I didn't want to go to college. I just thought I always believed it was necessary because that's what everybody else did if
That's what
they
everyone
could.
says. Yeah.
Right. And I never had any goals or dreams as a kid of what I want to do later. I never thought I want to be policeman or I want to be fireman. I want to be a teacher or a doctor or anything. I only thought about I want to play basketball. I want to play video games.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I never when I
Right.
went to
Right.
college, it's like, oh, I have to do something because I came to Taiwan. I first learned Chinese for 2 years, and after 2 years at the language center, I was like, all right, I cannot do that forever. You have to do something else
Right.
at some point. But without a degree, you can't really do much, especially not as a foreigner. You really need a degree. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to study if I want to stay here. And if I
Right.
go back to
Right.
Germany, I'll also have to probably study something or learn a job.
So what degree what major did you take? Like just major in
I studied
Chinese or
business administration.
okay, business.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not because I was into business. It's just, okay, I speak 3 languages.
It's a general degree. Right.
Yeah. And then you probably have a lot of options. You're not very limited if you have that kind of degree. But
Exactly.
I didn't study very hard. It wasn't fun for me. And I never wanted to be an employee anyway. I really hated working traditional jobs.
Right.
So I don't know. It was just like I was always dreading adult life because I was always a kid that just wanted to play and not be part of the grown-up world. Because the
Yeah.
grown-up world to me is kind of fucked up. Everybody's just pretending and everybody's miserable doing their things 24/7, whatever they do. And
Mhm.
I never wanted to do that. And then I had a part-time job working at H&M, for example, and
Yeah.
I hated it. Oh, I hated it so much. And I was like, how
What were
can
you doing at
people?
H&M?
I just was like a clerk, I like,
Okay.
yeah, so pretty normal stuff. And it was just part time. It wasn't even full time, but even part time, maybe working 20 hours a week or so, I'd be like, oh, I hate this so much. How can people do this full time and for years? And office jobs wouldn't have been much better. I had an office job later on after grad school, and I just dreaded it so much. So my question to you is, what was your dream or your goal when you were younger? Because you said you you needed a degree because everybody told you, but that's not what you wanted to do. So what is it that
Right.
you wanted to do?
So I didn't figure that out until the year before I was going to graduate, like during the summer. I was like, okay, what do I want to do? Like, what do I love doing more than anything? I like making people laugh. I love acting. Those are my two passions. So I said, okay, if I can get a acting job this summer, then that means that maybe I have some future in this. Because it's one thing to think you're good at acting. It's another thing to get people to pay you for it, right?
Right.
So I was like, okay, let me try to do this. So I actually landed a TV show that summer,
Hmm.
terrible show. Um, and then I was
In
like,
the
okay, I
US.
guess I'll do this in Taiwan. In Taiwan.
But hold on, you said you found out in college, right? Before you graduated.
Oh, I was back home for the summer.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
back home in Taiwan for the summer.
yeah. Um, so what was that TV show? Is that like a soap opera or?
Yeah, it was like a soap, and it was never released in Taiwan. It was for a cable channel in China, I believe, like a subscription only. But it was
Wow.
terrible, man. I actually it was way less than what I thought it was. It was one scene. It was one
Mm-hmm.
scene, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because that was like the dream, Like, I can get paid for it, then okay, I'm gonna go for it.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I've been doing that ever since.
Did you have an agent?
I did not. I did not.
How did you get the job?
That was through a friend, a referral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they needed a character that is mixed, or what was the
Yeah, they
part?
just wanted to. I pulled in one of my best friends at the time. We're both mixed, and they just wanted a scene where there's two really extremely handsome guys at the bar who chat up like the protagonist girl, and then the girl's like, "哎呀，为什么这些老外吧吧吧吧吧?" And then I'm like, "Oh, 我们会中文," and they're like, "Oh, 你们会中文呐?"
Okay, so the scene at the bar is like a girl
Stupid
doesn't
scene.
think you can speak Chinese, and then she's really surprised to speak Chinese. It's like the very
Yes,
cliche
yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
not
what's sick
very.
is they had a line in there. They're like, "Oh, 什么狗啊，一黑二黄三白," or something like that. And I was like, "What?" Like,
All right. Okay.
yeah,
So they even had a racist line for any, just in
they're
case
relate. Yeah,
any listener doesn't speak Chinese. So they had some racist line, and they're making fun of people's skin color. And
yeah, relating us to dogs basically.
yeah. Wow, that is crazy. What was that experience like in hindsight? Like after the fact, did you still think, "Oh, I want to be an actor. This is awesome," or were you completely disenchanted with the whole thing?
That didn't sway me. I mean, it definitely wasn't. I was so happy to just even have a thing that just cool. I was so happy to be on set,
Yeah,
even if the set had 20 dudes in suits hanging around the sidelines at all times, chewing beetle nut and
yeah,
smoking cigs because they're
right,
gangsters. It was a
right,
gangster run film, but I was just happy to be there, man. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'd say it was overall a positive experience.
And then when you graduated from university, you came back to Taiwan to pursue acting.
Yeah, yeah.
How did your family react to that?
They were like, okay, like you can do that, but I had another job. I was doing translation work for this dental company, so it wasn't like I was just not doing anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like, okay, like we can support you for a bit while you try to do this. And yeah, they weren't like enthused, but I think after they started seeing me get some success and they're like, okay, like this guy actually has some talent in the matter, then they were very supportive.
Hmm. Where do you think that comes from? Your
The
desire to
talent,
yeah, the talent and the
the
desire to
desire.
be an actor or to make people laugh.
Well, this is very dark, but it's from when I was being bullied, actually, when I was younger. Because, okay, first of all, my dad's always been a really funny guy, so I get it from him. And that was one of the methods that I would use to keep the bullies off of me. Because if I could keep them laughing, then they wouldn't be beating me up, you know? So it
Mm,
was always like a little dog and pony show, you know? I'm like trying to do bits and all this stuff and then keep them laughing.
huh.
And so I mean, early on in life, I was definitely a people pleaser, like to the max, because I think that came from being bullied and stuff. And my parents were always like, you got to be polite and nice to people. That's like the number one thing they drilled into me. And I think to the point where I almost saw myself as, you know, beneath other people. Like I had to please other people. And that was my
Mm.
prerogative in anything I did. And it wasn't till I remember in sixth grade, there was a day, because I remember people would say they see me and they'd be like, hey, Brandon, make me laugh. And I just do
Really?
something, make me laugh. Yeah, it was so
What?
disrespectful. But it was one day in chemistry class in sixth grade. These girls were like, hey, Brandon, make me laugh. I said, no, I'm not feeling good today. I'm like grumpy for whatever reason. And they go, make me laugh. I said, I'm not your clown. And then from then on, I was like, I'm nobody's clown. I want to make me laugh for me, you know?
Right,
And then
right,
it
right.
changed the whole dynamic where I do stuff out of, you know, self-enjoyment rather than trying to please other people.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty similar in that way. I remember since first grade in school,
You were a people pleasurer,
no, not
like
at
pleasuring
all.
people all
No,
the time.
I pleasure people nowadays, but no. Um, for me, it wasn't really pleasing people. It was getting a laugh. It was like a huge feeling
Uh,
of success, and I was really good at it. I remember even in first grade when the teacher would say something or another student would say something, I would just chime in with like a one liner or some funny remark, and
yeah.
I was always good at doing that. So even in high school, when I wasn't popular at all, and I wasn't part of the whole cool group of students. I was only myself and my twin brother. Basically, we stuck to ourselves. But I was still, even though I wasn't popular, I was still able to make a lot of people laugh in school. And but in Germany, it's not really encouraged. Like I feel like in the US, if you're funny,
Oh yeah, it's a
that's kind of
huge
a good
plus.
thing, right? But in
Right.
Germany, people laugh about it, but then they don't say, "Hey, you should do something with that talent, or you should nurture it, or something." It's
Right.
just like
Right.
Germans are just so square.
Yes.
That's why I never thought of becoming an entertainer or an actor or something like that, because it's just nobody in my environment did that.
Was doing that at all, right?
Yeah, to me, it's
Yeah.
like you see people on TV in Germany, you don't even realize that they're actual people,
Right.
because
Right.
nobody in my circle has any connections to that industry.
Mhm.
And I guess
It seems like they
maybe
just popped out that way.
exactly right. They're
Yeah.
just kind of they're built by like a factory, and then
Uh
what
huh.
did they do? Did they ever go to school? No. I mean, like we don't even think about that, because in Germany you think about you go to school, then you find a job, and you don't really think about performing arts much, at least in where I'm from.
Hmm.
So I didn't find my passion until I was 27. I just by chance,
Dang.
yeah,
27
I was in grad school, and I was in grad school because I wanted
in
to
Taiwan.
in Taiwan, yeah, because I found out that after I graduated from university in Taiwan, I wanted to stay here because I had a girlfriend at that time.
Yeah.
But the law was that you needed a graduate degree as a foreigner to work in Taiwan.
Right.
Yeah, so they're very unfriendly to foreign workers, basically. And
Hmm.
so either you needed that or 2 years of work experience in your field. But because I just graduated from university in Taiwan, there's no way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the stupid thing, the stupid policy in Taiwan, that they invite foreigners to study here, but then they discourage them from finding work here, which is really stupid. I mean, why would I study in Taiwan if I cannot then work in Taiwan? Because the degree is not worth much in Germany, right?
Right.
But I didn't know that. I hadn't known that before I got into university. So then I graduated from university and realized, oh shit, I have to go to grad school. And even though I didn't want to, I mean, I didn't like studying in
Right.
university, and I didn't like office jobs, but that would have been my future in Taiwan. So just by
Uh huh.
by chance, I met an agent at a gym, and he said,
Yeah.
"Hey, we need a foreigner for a music video." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try
Yeah.
that." I was
Where
never.
in the gym did you meet him? In the showers or?
Yeah, and I dropped some soap, and he
Yeah.
liked my butt, and no, No, I don't know. I got out and changed my clothes, and then he's like, "Hey, you're very handsome, and can I? We need some foreigners for a music video." And it was like Wang Lihong. So
Dang.
my first professional work was Wang Lihong's music video.
Yeah. Do you remember how much they paid you?
Very little, very very little.
Like what's very little? Because you know how back in the day they just had bigger budgets for everything
Right?
because there's
No,
so
it
way more
was like
competition
I
now.
think 3 to 5K or something like that.
That's like yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like it was a night shoot. We started at 5 p.m. and went until like 5 a.m. in the morning in Taoyuan,
What?
where they in
Oh my
Taoyuan where
God.
they have this the 3D studio like with green screens and everything. That large thing. I don't know if you've ever worked in that building. It's
No.
one of the biggest visual effects
Oh,
showing
okay.
how do you say showing like a filming studio, because
Studio, yeah.
the whole wall is like super high. They have a lot of lights up top, and you can do a lot of visual effects in there because it's all
Mhm.
green screen if you want. So they filmed the
Right.
music video in there, and it was really high production quality. And I was like amazed that you could do, because like I said, in growing up in Germany, that wasn't my radar at all. I just thought
Mhm.
grown-ups work in offices or
Exactly.
cleaning
Exactly.
floors or something. I didn't think they could have fun for a living. So the
Yeah,
music
yeah.
video was like, wow, this is not work. This is just playing around. This is just having fun. And
Yes, yes.
this is something I would do for free with my
Mhm.
friends if I could.
Right.
And yeah, so then that's when I realized, oh, if there is this opportunity for me in the future, then I'd like to do that instead of having to sit in an office at a computer all day. Yeah. And then I got the chance to be on TV shows and talk about my life for a living. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is kind of what I did in school as a kid, because in school, I guess Taiwanese schools, the teacher talks most of the time and the students just listen.
Yeah.
But in German
Yeah.
school, students are more involved. And I
Mm.
would always want to get involved. I always wanted to share my thoughts on things and discuss topics and or maybe chime in with a joke. And that's basically what Taiwanese TV shows are like, or Taiwanese talk shows. So I was like,
Right.
this comes pretty natural to me. The only problem was that I was extremely camera shy. So if there were no cameras
What?
rolling, yeah, I was extremely camera shy. I don't know if it's Taiwan. I got a lot more shy or not confident about myself.
Erect.
Maybe it's because in university there were a few moments where I wanted to make a joke or be funny and people just didn't react positively. I don't know if it's a cultural difference, but I felt like in Germany I'm known as the funny guy, but in Taiwan I wasn't, and that really bothered me because people like
Yeah.
because they say, oh, this German guy, he looks very serious, and maybe we don't get his, like when I make a joke I might have a very serious face. It's just sarcasm and people just don't get it.
Sarcasm's not a thing here, man. It's
No,
not
exactly. So
yeah.
sometimes I would just not land any laughs, and that would make me feel like, oh,
Right.
I don't feel funny here anymore. And then I get more self-conscious
Uh-huh.
and whatever. But so I had to really work hard to overcome that. Yeah. And
Hey,
so
okay. Going on the TV show stuff. Have you always told the truth every time you were on the TV show? Are all
no,
the
of
stories
course
true?
not. I mean, the first few shows I
what
was
point?
on, I didn't even know that you're supposed to play a role. The very first few times, like the first 3 or 4 times I was on TV, it
Yeah.
wasn't really with an agency that got me there. It was just like a friend say, hey, they need a foreigner for TV shows. And at that time, I never really understood what Taiwanese TV shows were like. I just thought they invite people that talk about life, kind of like there are talk shows in Germany where people just are actually themselves,
Right.
like people from the
Right.
street, right? And that I
Yeah.
thought that's what Taiwanese TV shows were like. So I went on the TV show, just talked about my life really frankly,
Mhm.
and even said some stuff that in hindsight, I'm really surprised I could get away with. I talked about maybe like pleasing a girl with your hand, or like, like shit like that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
nowadays they would never let me talk about this, at least on the TV show that we used to be on. And in the beginning, they they didn't want to package you as a certain kind of role
They didn't want
model
to
or
put you in a
something.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, because later on they realized, oh, these foreigners are becoming popular on
Hmm.
TV. Let's package them. Let's improve their image. Let's have
Right,
them
right,
play a
right,
certain character. But the very first few episodes, they didn't do that to us. They just let us talk
right.
about whatever we wanted. And then later on, they tried to cram us into a certain corner. And that's when I get less and less confident about myself, because I was like, okay, they don't like me. They restrict me so much. And then it became more and more natural to me. And then also, they don't like my stories anymore. They want me to talk about this and this and this. So I just had to make shit up. I just had to, because every week
But
they want to talk you to talk about a
yes,
different story, and then after
very
a couple of
specific
weeks,
things that like how could you have had that
right?
experience? Yeah.
And in the very beginning, they didn't really do it like that. They just asked me, "Can you talk about certain stories?" And then whatever I said, they just was like, "Oh, this is good. This is good. Yeah, check, check, check. Oh, you have stories,
Wow.
right? Right." And then they got so picky about everything that was like, okay, I have to make stuff up because they don't accept my real stories. And even if my real stories were really entertaining, they were not proper for TV because a lot of them are
Right.
sexual or just yeah, that the humor just didn't work that well for Taiwanese television. And I
So
want to
what was
yeah, go
what
ahead.
was your character? Like who was the character that they wanted you to be?
Um, I think initially they didn't really have an idea. They tried to make
Hmm.
me the gentle, handsome foreigner, like Fabio has this character that's really romantic, is good with women, or is really like a gentleman and can cook and stuff like that. And I think they were hoping that I could play that kind of
A
character,
similar role.
a
I
similar
see.
role, but I tried way too hard to be funny in the show.
Yeah.
And then I kept disappointing them that I would just say offensive stuff after offensive stuff. I would make fun of a woman's shoes, say she looks like a prostitute or something, and they got so offended and were like, Sasha, people are gonna hate you because of how you talk. That's not good. I'm like, but it's funny. I mean, they're like, no, it's not
Yeah.
funny. I'm like, you guys have no sense of humor. And because when I make that joke in private, people would laugh, so I know it's funny.
Right, right,
But on
right.
TV, they're all like,
Yeah, they're like,
yeah, and
yeah.
then they would cut it out, and I would check each episode when it's on TV, and I would be like, "Hey, where did my joke go?" They cut it out, but I
Yeah.
remember people laughing in the studio when I make that joke. So I was disappointed that they really didn't accept me for who I am, and then they're like, "No, please, can you just be handsome and be nice?" And I'm like, "That's really boring, though. I don't want to see that. I don't want to."
Right, right,
When I watch a TV show, I want to be entertained. I'm not entertained by a guy
right.
just being handsome. That's just stupid. And I wasn't even that handsome. You
Yeah.
know, I people always say you're so handsome, you're so handsome. Like I kind of try to make myself look more handsome, but I'm not naturally a super handsome person. It's like
Like you don't I think more importantly is you don't identify as being a super handsome person,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Because I mean, I didn't get any girls in Germany. I was
Right.
never the popular guy, even though I made people laugh. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I wasn't the popular guy in school. I was the guy who was able to make people laugh. And in
Right.
Taiwan, I'm suddenly supposed to play a role where I'm the handsome guy that says nice things, but I've never been that person. I've only been a very
Uh-huh.
frank, direct person who can get to the crux of the matter in a way that makes, like, when somebody says something that everybody's thinking but everybody's afraid to say, that makes people laugh, and I'm that person. So I wanted to play that character on TV, especially because I felt like that was missing on TV in Taiwan.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
usually
for
people
sure.
just cater to the audience here, but I don't. I don't cater to the audience. I say what everybody thinks but is afraid to say, and then that makes people
Yeah.
laugh. That's what comedians do. I really like stand-up
Right,
comedy,
exactly.
right?
You
So
point out,
yeah, so that was really frustrating for me. So that's another reason why I want to do this podcast. I want to have some chances to
be frank. Yeah.
yeah, just be frank. And I can still joke sometimes when the opportunity presents itself. But I want to ask you, so because you also have a very I guess your humor is a little bit more acceptable in Taiwan because you use a lot of maybe similar to Jim Carrey, you play characters. where you make like physical jokes, or you have like funny gestures, and it's not really so sarcastic, I would say, even though you also do that. But do you feel like your humor is really well accepted or welcome in Taiwan?
So it's interesting because when I first started in this industry, I first started doing my own skits. I made skits that I liked. It was like
Yeah.
my kind of humor, which is a very sexual and over the top and
Yeah.
extreme. Like me like being an Australian cat hunter out in the jungle, and I'm tasting the water. I'm like, tastes like gonorrhea, like that kind of stuff. I think that's funny, but
Yeah.
Taiwanese people do not think that's funny. So at a certain point, I had to think about it. I had to say, like, am I going to make stuff for a Taiwanese audience? Because I am based in Taiwan.
Yeah.
All the algorithm, they're not going to show the videos to people overseas. It's going to be seen in Taiwan first
Right.
before it can go international. So am I going to make stuff that just I think is funny, or that other people will think is funny? And so I opted for the latter. And I eventually started, finding out what Taiwanese people think is funny. And like, there's definitely overlap. And that's where I thrive right now.
Yeah. How long have you been doing these clips?
3 years now.
Okay.
3 years, yeah.
Do you have an agency now, or do you work on your?
I collaborate with a bunch of
Okay.
agencies and agents and whatnot.
Because I feel like
you know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to take the opportunity to shit on this agent. There's this one agent. My gosh, he's a terrible guy. He's a piece of shit. This guy, he always has only shady jobs. I don't know if you've ever met this guy. He's like a 中年大叔. He's like an uncle type, like maybe in his 40s and 50s, and he's like talks very very aggressive. 你就是这样子啦，我跟你说哈, let me tell you, you just do it like that, okay? And he talks as if you're like some, I don't know, some lowly person of low intellect,
Right.
So, okay, he got me this job once, and I didn't know what it was until I showed up, and it was a commercial for Viagra. He said it was health like pills, and I was what the fuck? What? And I had to wear a mask, which was cool because I ain't gonna show my face on a Viagra commercial.
So you did it?
Yeah, I did it. It's one of those late night infomercials.
What?
I had to pretend that I was a porn star from Japan.
This porn star, this Japanese porn star is really tanned. He must go in the sun a lot.
Oh no, American porn star. So it was a panel. It was an American porn star, a Japanese porn star, and like a Taiwanese guy, I think. And then we had to talk about our experiences eating this pill. And like my lines were absurd, man. Like I only did it because I was like, this is a great story for later on.
Yes.
Which I'm sharing with you right now.
Nice.
Because the line was, as a black guy, I have a huge dick, but it can't really get fully hard. But when I take this pill, it's both big and hard.
Oh my God.
So ridiculous. Oh,
I hope they paid you well.
Heck no, man. It was like 8,000 NT. Yeah.
Which is like not even $300 in the US. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And this guy, he always just has these shady jobs. He'd be like, oh, we have a commercial for the Philippines. And I told him after a certain point, I was like, hey, man, don't contact me for anything under 10,000 NT because it's not worth my time, especially from you. You're just giving me these shady ass jobs. And he's like, oh, like, okay. But then he'll call me anyways. He'll be like, oh, we got a job for you over here. It's for 7,000 NT. I was like, dude, don't call me unless it's 10,000 NT. Yeah. He's like, no, look, okay. You just need it. It's only 2 hours. And you'll be done, okay? You not understand this? Like, that's easy money. Just 2 hours and you'll be done. And he just talks down to you constantly. Like, he talks to me like I'm a stupid foreigner. Like, I'm a stupid exchange student. That's the vibe he gives me. Yeah. And I flipped out on him, man. I was like, you fucking stupid. Like, don't call me again. I fucking hung up on this guy. So recently, as of like a year ago, I heard a story from one of our good friends. I won't reveal his name because anonymity and stuff. But
does he have a big
this
dick?
guy. No. No. There's another friend of ours.
The one with the small one. No, I'm just
yeah. Anyways, he told me, he's like, yeah, man, I got this gig, and it was like for the Filipino commercial that he mentioned to me. He actually went. He said he shows up and it's in a love motel. And he's like, what on earth, dude? It's a love motel. And then they're like, okay, we want you to drink this vial of God knows what and just talk about how it makes you grow taller. And he's like, yeah, I used to be short, but now after I drink this, I'm really tall. And he said that he said, I'm not drinking that stuff. I don't know what it is. I'm not fucking drinking it. They're like, you have to drink it. He's like, dude, just dump it out, replace it with water, then I'll drink that. Like, okay, fine. So they did that. And then when they're finished with the shoot, the guy was like, okay, you only worked for like an hour, so I'll just pay you like 3,000 NT instead of like the 15,000 he was promised.
What?
He's like, what?
He didn't
He's
sign
like,
a contract?
I don't think so. He said,
Oh,
no,
man.
fuck that. Like, you're paying me 15,000. Like, that's not how it works. I already booked this time. I blocked this time out for you.
Right.
You know, you don't just say, oh, you finished ahead of time because you're good. So I pay you less now.
Exactly.
So, you know, the guy was like, oh, I don't have cash on me. You're going to have to wait. He like made him wait for like a couple hours to like get cash and give it to him. Shady guy. Man. Shady guy.
Yeah. Those kinds of jobs or agents always have a negative impact on the industry because there are so many foreigners in Taiwan who are just students who are not really models or even trying to be professional. I mean, I was a student when I started and I wasn't professional at all, but actually my goal was to do this professionally. So I wasn't just like a guy who doesn't give a fuck, who just only cares about the money. But there's so many students here who only want the quick pocket money.
Well, they're just excited to be there, man.
Yeah.
Which
the
is
problem
fine,
is
but
they lower the price for the whole industry because a lot of agents just go for those guys. Oh, there's a guy we have to pay $1,000, and there's another guy who's terrible, but we only have to pay him $200. Yeah, we're gonna pick the terrible guy because the clients, they're kind of stupid. They don't know who's good or not.
And they take a bigger cut. Well, they do know. They realize that, oh, this guy's not really professional. But it doesn't matter because those agents/agencies, they just want a bigger cut. Yeah. They can take a bigger cut from those guys because they don't even know what the industry standards are.
Yeah. I also had arguments with agents about that, and they don't really admit to doing this. They always have some other excuses for why this is okay. And
any names you want to put on blast?
Nah. I'd rather not. You know, I could, but
maybe in like a couple of years.
Maybe when I have fuck you money where I don't need to care about anybody. But also, I don't want to get sued or anything for.
Libel.
Yeah, libel, whatever. So you have an agent now. Do they help you shoot? Because I feel like you do so many videos and it takes a lot of work. Do you have a team that works with you, or do you do everything on your own?
I do most everything on my own. I work with a team for bigger production stuff. You know, if I want to do it big, then I'll get a cinematographer and whatnot. But I do all the editing myself and writing scripts myself. Yeah.
When you started doing it, did you just want to entertain people, or did you have like a monetary goal or intention in there?
I think I followed this creator, and his bio is, I hate to wait, so I create. And I was like, oh yeah, like why? Because you're just most of the time, if you're an actor, you're just sitting around waiting for jobs, going to auditions, and most of the time, you know, there's a lot of time between jobs. So I said, okay, I may as well make some videos. And I just wanted to make what I thought was funny, honestly.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a monetary incentive. I didn't know how to even monetize that sort of thing. So
yeah.
In the beginning, it's just
I was in the same boat. Yeah, because I really like acting, but as a white guy in Taiwan, you don't get many acting jobs. There's one every couple of months, right? So that's why I started filming YouTube videos with the other guys from the TV show, and I thought it was really fun. They were really popular, but the problem is everybody always had something to do, so it was very hard to get all of them together at the same time. But when we did, I thought it was awesome. It was some of the happiest moments in my life. Just a bunch of guys.
It's like having your own TV show, right? You're the director, producer. Yeah. Someone says like, hey, no, don't say that. Say this instead. Right. You know what? You should smile more. You know what, Sasha, the hairstyle right now, it's not going to get you
right. Sasha, you look too old with a beard. Shave the beard. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And so it was really fun. And sometimes people will tell me, hey, I really liked the clips you did a couple years ago with the other guys. I'm like, yeah, I wish I could do more, but they have their own lives, you know. I don't get paid for them, but I wish I could do like one clip a week or so. But the problem is then you need to pay for a team to really do it. You need to pay everybody to work on it. And I was hoping that I could do something. We approached our TV show with ideas, but they were never interested. Taiwanese TV shows, they're so
very
stuck on their
conservative.
track. We're
Yeah,
doing what
yeah,
we're already doing. We're not going to try new
yeah.
things.
This is what works. I mean, that's almost that's most places. You know, like people
Yeah,
are gonna stick with what works. They're not gonna take risks. Like
yeah,
you got to take the risk yourself, and once
yeah,
you build up your audience, then they come to you.
yeah. So, most of your jobs now are TV commercials, or what do you do mostly?
Yeah, just regular commercials. But recently, man, like in the past couple weeks, a ton of TikTok, man. TikTok is the new wave, man. Like just all these TikTok commercials from around the world.
Oh, so
Yeah, like
they
EFA, like a product. What do you call it in English? Like an ad,
like
basically,
a product. Yeah,
for different
like an
companies.
ad, like yeah, like a product placement kind of ad. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I never considered that. I was always like TikTok. Don't you have to dance on that on TikTok? Isn't
No,
that just
I
dance?
mean, I do skits on there. Yeah.
So it's basically like Instagram, but more popular for younger people, I guess, right?
Yeah, and video focused. I mean, I've explained this many times, but it's just much more fair in terms of the way the algorithm works. Everyone has a chance to blow up. I mean, right now, Instagram and Facebook, it's not even 10% of the people who follow you will necessarily see your post
Right, right.
unless it's very popular, right?
Yeah,
And even if it is super popular, maybe 40% at most, you have to pay to win.
yeah,
You pay and then everyone could see your post, you know.
right.
Whereas TikTok, it's if 10 people see it, high percentage of people interact slash like and comment, then it'll show more and more and more and so on and so forth. So it just builds and it's
Nice.
kind of exponential.
So
The reach is just crazy.
your TikTok popularity is already surpassing Instagram.
Nah, by far, man. Like my TikToks right now, I'm at like 355,000 followers. That took me a year.
Holy
Yeah.
cow. Because yeah, you've been active on
And
Instagram for at least 3 years, but
yeah, yeah.
wow. Do you think I should get on TikTok then?
No, for sure, man. Like anyone who's not on TikTok right now, it's a waste. It's just it has the best organic reach of any platform. There
Hmm.
are some like things you have to be careful about. Like I kept getting banned recently because um like if you show, for example, if you show underwear, you have a
Yeah.
little underwear sticking out, you're wearing pants, but your underwear sticks out a bit, your video will be taken down. Or if certain words, you cannot write kill, you cannot write cock, penis, vagina, sex, all these words you cannot write. Because I subtitle all my videos, right? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
I
yeah.
run into that issue more often. Just a lot of little things like that. You can't show like too much violence or
Hmm.
blood and all
It
that
is a
kind of stuff.
Chinese app, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why.
I'm a little bit worried about that because they might be able to look at all your other stuff in your phone, you know. I don't know how
Nah,
you're good.
there's nothing to look at. I mean, like what do you want? There's nothing here for you. I mean, well,
Yeah.
you're using the international version of TikTok,
Hmm.
so it's like, yeah,
Hmm. And
yeah, it has a global reach. Like I'm getting commercials from the U.S., Hong Kong, Indonesia.
all right,
It's
I
very
guess I'll.
global.
But what can I put up there? I mean, I don't have that much. You film a lot of skits, and I don't do
Yeah,
that anymore. I mean, I would like to, but I I only have that inspiration or the drive to do it when I do it with friends. I don't know how you
right.
do it yourself. I don't. You're very self motivated, I guess. I'm only motivated when other people want to do it with me. I like that creating together kind of feeling, you know.
So you never masturbate, but you have sex with women all the time.
How do you know? That's exactly right. Yes. I
I
I
mean,
I actually don't masturbate anymore. Yeah. It's the truth. Yeah. It sounds
I don't
ridiculous,
watch
but
porn, but I still masturbate. I don't watch
oh,
porn.
really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cut
Okay,
that off.
okay. Um so but you also other than that you also do voice acting, right? Or is it just for fun?
Yeah, yeah, I do voice acting. Just voicing commercials, pretty boring stuff. It's just
Ah,
like
but not cartoons.
Gogoro to, like stuff like that.
Yeah. I thought you also voice cartoons or stuff like that.
No, I wish. I mean, right now I'm working with a crypto company they have like NFTs and they're making cartoons with that. So I'm doing voicing for that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've never done like a proper cartoon or anything. I would love to. That's one of my I love
Yeah.
that stuff.
You have this video where you do the laughs of all these One Piece characters or other characters.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really good. I'm like, wow, he knows how to laugh like a million different ways, and you sound like a
Yeah.
villain or like a funny guy. It's great. Did you kind of practice for that, or is it just does it come naturally to you?
That's practice from when I was little, man. Like whenever I'm alone at home or whatever, I'm screaming or doing voices and just doing accents. And so, yeah, I remember my parents, they would always be like, shut up. They'd be like, Senjing Pinga. They think I'm like going crazy. But I look back and I'm like, that is all practice because it's really just control of your voice. That's what it is.
Mm. Do you kind of practice any other skills in order to be more of a well-rounded entertainer? Maybe like dancing, singing, stuff like that.
I guess I sing for fun, but I haven't like purposefully practiced dancing in a while. I was part of a hip hop crew in the US. Like that's what I did after rugby. I quit rugby and I was like, what do I do? Let me join this hip hop crew where there's 2 guys and 20 girls. Okay. That's fun.
So do you still rap?
Rap? Did I rap?
Or what do you mean you sang for the hip hop crew? Or what do you mean?
Oh no. It's a dance hip hop dance crew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Break dance and stuff.
Yeah, break dance. Yeah.
You still do that?
No, not really. I dance in parties. That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't like purposefully. Yeah.
Does that come naturally to you?
Dancing?
Yeah.
I've liked it ever since I was little.
Yeah.
I would say so, yeah. But I'm a good freestyler, but I'm terrible at choreographed dancing.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
It's hard, man. They're like, okay, like hit like this, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then they've got it after like 2 goes, And meanwhile, I gotta practice all night.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm terrible at both. But I've been on Dancing with the Stars in Taiwan, and oh god, it's I feel so awkward doing it.
Did you enjoy it though, or
not really? Because I know I'm so terrible. So when I'm really, really bad at something, it's hard for me to enjoy it. I only enjoy things I'm good at. And the thing that frustrates me is sometimes like initially I really suck and then I improve and I'm like, oh, I'm actually getting good. And then I see my performance. I'm like, damn, you're still terrible.
Yeah,
like, even though I feel like I'm
better.
Yeah, but even though I put a lot of effort in it, but it looks like I didn't even practice very hard. And that is frustrating to me. That makes me feel like, oh God, you should. Yeah, I should really work on my flexibility first. Do some
for sure.
Because I work out so much just on muscle size or like.
I mean, do you do like full range of motion when you lift?
Yeah. I've been putting more focus on it now. Some exercise I do full range of motion, some I don't, or I used not to. And now over the last few weeks, I've been really changing my workout routine completely. And I can't wait for the gyms to open back up because, yeah, I really
Your gym
realized
hasn't opened.
Nah, they're reconstructing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for many years I just did the very standard stuff that all
bodybuilding.
And I then recently realized my body has kind of aches and pains or like stiffness where it should. I'm only 36, but sometimes I feel like I'm 50 or 60. Just because it's you're just building a look, but you're not really healthy. And
it's also the modern lifestyle, man. Like a lot of it's just from sitting. Like
exactly.
I don't know if you find out. Like if you sit a lot, man, you feel messed up.
On being on my phone all the time,
Yeah.
So I have shoulder pain from maybe bench pressing the wrong way, or
for sure
because maybe my chest gets really strong, but there's some kind of balancing muscle that is neglected, and then you make one room move in that direction, and you're like, fuck. You're fucked up for a few months.
There's one thing that I've realized recently is there's this guy called Knees Over Toes guy. Who's really revolutionary.
Yeah, I get everybody on his stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like my knees have gotten way better since I've started.
Yeah. Like, I really need his stuff, not necessarily for my knees. My knees are pretty healthy, but I have so many hip and ankle problems. my ankle flexibility is just horrible, and also my knee, my hips.
Dang.
Like sometimes when I would do workouts, I get hip cramps, and I was always wondering why. And it's definitely because my hip flexors are too tight. So I
Yes,
really need to
you
stretch
should
them
get
out a lot more.
so one thing about the hip flexor is it's harder to stretch, like to release the tension there. Stretching won't do it. Like you really have to have something pressed. Like, do you know what a sew right is?
No.
It's let me grab it for you. It's like a plastic bladed tool.
Oh wow, that
And
looks
so basically
painful.
you put it on your like hip flexor,
Yeah,
and then it just, and you lay on it,
yeah,
and then it just releases the tension. Dude, it helps so much, man.
huh. But
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
when you lie on it, isn't your hip kind of, your body's bent, right? So shouldn't it be bent the other way?
No, because you're pressing on it to release the tension in there. Like
Uh-huh.
you're pressing on it
Oh, okay.
and loosening it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then you probably also do a lot of foam rolling and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
think
helps
that's
a
so
lot.
necessary. I just
Or
feel
this
like
this thing.
as a kid, I think my flexibility was really good, and over the years, yeah, wow, yeah, over the years, I just lost my flexibility, and just now when I play basketball, I really miss it. But every time I play basketball now, I'll get some kind of small injury
Feel a
just
little
because my
messed up.
flexibility
Yeah.
is just fucking horrible. I also noticed
Yeah.
that in the NBA, there are so many more injuries now with athletes because they're getting better at training their muscles to become really strong. People are more athletic generally, but athletic only in a powerful way, but not in a flexible way. So there's so many
Yeah.
more injuries nowadays with NBA players, and I think a big reason is just they jump so high, they run so fast, but their tendons aren't really as strong
Yeah.
compared
Like
to their muscles anymore.
we don't put enough focus on training the ligaments and tendons,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is the focus of knees over toes guys. He does everything to extreme range of motion, but with light weights, right?
Yeah,
Like we were taught when we started bodybuilding, like, hey, you don't go past here because that's how you hurt yourself. Well, that
right.
is if you're trying to do like a regular weight, but if you do light and build it up, you'll be even stronger.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I've been focusing on. Just yeah. For years I was like, I want bigger muscles, but now I'm like, nah. What do big muscles do if you can't use them properly? It's kind of stupid, right? Just
Right.
vanity. But apart from working out, also what I want to talk to you about is diet, the keto diet, because you're one of the few
Oh,
people that
yeah,
have been doing keto or low carb for a while.
yeah, yeah.
And I was really surprised because everybody hears me talk about it and think, oh, he's kind of extreme. And then
They think you're crazy or something. Yeah.
I meet you and you're really into it. And I don't really have to persuade you that it's good. You already know it.
Right.
So I want to know
Yeah.
how you got into that.
I think it was just listening to a lot of podcasts on the ketogenic diet and fasting and the benefits of all that. And I tried it and I felt really good on it, because I think the crash from the insulin spike after you eat a carb heavy meal, it's just really damaging to your daily schedule,
Yeah.
especially if I'm trying to do things or I have to have mental focus, mental clarity. I don't like how a heavily carb meal will just make me sleepy, and then you got to drink coffee. But if you drink coffee, you can't sleep at night. It affects your sleep.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I found the ketogenic diet, and that's mainly the reason why I do it. Because I have really low body fat. So people are saying, "Oh, why would you do that? That's for losing weight." No, it's for
It's for
maintaining
overall
higher
health.
energy levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall health.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started?
My gosh, not that long ago. Maybe like a year ago,
Oh,
year and a
same
half
same as
at
me then.
most.
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I started pretty much a year ago. I started, yeah. First I did keto with a lot of veggies and nuts and stuff, but then I went to
Mm-hmm.
almost carnivore. Now, most of my meals are meat, cheese, eggs, and of course I have some veggies here and there, but not that much compared to a year ago. Uh why did you feel those sugar crashes or like carb crashes? I never really paid attention to that. I had a lot of other ailments that I needed to fix, but I couldn't fix without doing keto. But I don't feel like a lot of people are even aware that they have these carb crashes. I think it's just what everybody
Yeah,
perceives as normal. Wasn't that
right.
normal for you?
I think it was once I realized it, because I think you hear about it and you're like, oh, right. Because I don't think I ever really connected that to what I was eating so much. I would just think, oh, I feel kind of tired. Let me like rest for a bit or something. And then after listening to a bunch of podcasts and understanding what it was, then I could see like, hey, I noticed my energy levels are significantly lower after eating that meal of burgers and fries and milkshake. I don't feel good after eating that. And so I was like, I wanted to change that and improve upon it. And so I tried it. I actually only ever tried a full on keto diet for about 2 weeks. But after 2 weeks, I don't think it's necessarily for me. I still need a little bit more carbs since I am, I think, naturally skinny. And so,
do you
and if I
feel
want to do,
do you feel less explosive working out if you don't have carbs, or what do the carbs do?
yeah,
That
less power for sure. Yeah.
what was your diet like before you did low carb?
It's pretty regular. I had a lot of vegetables in my diet, and I stayed away from processed foods.
So
my weakness
still
was
pretty healthy compared to
still
the
pretty
average
healthy.
population.
Yeah, still pretty healthy. But I think it's only because I was eating pretty healthy that I would notice that when I did eat unhealthy, that I would feel terrible. Because if you have no reference point to compare to, people don't know what you're talking about. You're like, what are you talking about? What carb crash? I'm like, dude, you notice how you're sluggish after you eat that meal?
Right. Yeah.
They don't notice it,
Yeah. I really noticed that after I changed my diet to mostly carnivore, my body reacts a lot more strongly to all the bad foods than it did before.
Exactly.
Because when you're always kind of feel like shit, like I had allergies for years, really bad skin allergies, sneezing, irritated eyes and stuff for decades, really, not just years, decades. And I just always thought it's just genetic. People say, oh, it's genetic.
Right.
It's stupid.
Pollen or something.
Right. Yeah. But when you change your diet, you don't react as strongly to any other allergen that influences you. Like I might have been allergic to pollen or whatever, but when you fix your diet, your body can deal with these things better. And yeah, my reactions to any kind of allergen wouldn't be as strong. But then when I changed my diet to something dirty again for a couple of days, I would react super strongly, or that I would feel that that difference very quickly. For example, like my skin right now is pretty good, but if let's say I eat gluten or wheat for a couple of days, I would break out. I get pimples on my back or my neck, or and then because now it's good, you immediately see the impact of the food. But if you're in a bad diet, you eat this and this, and you don't really see a difference because you're always kind of mediocre or shitty. So yeah, that's why I would like to people to try a different healthy, clean diet and see what the difference is, because a lot of people think, yeah, that's just you have all these issues. But I feel like the more people I talk to, everybody has some type of health issues. It might not be skin, it might be like mental, it might be some people feel very depressed a lot for no reason. And people don't connect depression to diet, but it's all linked together.
Yeah.
So do you do anything to promote it?
Promote what?
Like a healthy diet. Is it something you want to do, or is it just for yourself, basically?
It's just for myself, really. I mean, I talk about it occasionally in my Instagram stories, but it's not a focus. Like I'm focused on comedy. People know I live a healthy lifestyle, but maybe eventually if I do more of a vlog type deal, then I'll talk about it more. But I think for now, I'm just focused on comedy.
So, but you've tried keto for 2 weeks and you felt low on energy, or was?
No, it was just harder. It's really hard to do, man. Full on keto
In Taiwan, you basically have to cook all your meals. Yeah.
I was eating a ton of avocado and just fats, the like fat bombs. I was making a lot of those keto fat bombs. Yeah. I just felt like it wasn't super sustainable, to like completely cut off all carbs. Sometimes you're at a shoot, for example, and they only give you a bento box. What are you gonna do? So I try to only eat like a third of the rice and then eat the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, if I'm only on a day shoot in Taipei and don't have to spend a whole week somewhere outside, I just don't eat for that day.
Okay, you just fast,
Yeah, I just fast because I do intermittent fasting anyway. I've been doing it for I think almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you do intermittent fasting, like 16 hours of no eating, you can easily go a whole day without eating. It doesn't really
Yeah,
bother me too
easily.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really helped me too, because when I was in university, I tried to eat every 3 hours because back then
Bodybuilding.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
stupid. You just
Well,
believe what
you
all the
gotta keep
bodybuilding.
you gotta you
Yeah, I
gotta
gotta
keep
keep
the fire burning, keep the
the
metabolism fast.
the anabolic state of the muscle building, whatever. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
the bullshit that the bodybuilding magazines preach. It's just all
Yep.
leads to more inflammation. My allergies were so bad, and I ate way too many nuts, and ate so much oatmeal, and constantly eating
Uh-huh.
carbs
Uh-huh.
and carbs and carbs. No, so many processed foods, because back in the day, people just didn't really stress that. It's just all about macros. As long as your macros are right, you're going to be okay. But no, it's all
Yeah. And
yeah,
small meals spread out, a lot of small
yeah,
meals. Like that's
right.
terrible for you,
Terrible.
honestly.
I have two
Like,
meals a
do you
day
think
now.
yeah, same. I do 2 to 3 at
Yeah.
most.
Yeah, I mean, in nature, we grew up as hunter gatherers. Like we evolved as people. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so they don't have a supermarket where they can get food
They
every
don't
hour.
just eat, yeah,
They
every
don't have a
2 hours. It's
refrigerator. They
absurd.
have to hunt, and then they might go a day or
Uh-huh.
two without food if they cannot catch much, right? So
Yeah.
that's really what we're evolved with, and yeah. So, but
I
do
remember
you
in
still
high
have,
school,
huh?
I remember in high school, I would eat breakfast at 7 a.m. I get to school. There was a snack break at 9:30. I'd have another meal, and then lunch at 12, and then 3 p.m. after school, I'd eat again, and then I'd go home and I'd have another snack and then dinner. I'd have like 6 meals, and it's just absurd. And I remember at that time, I would always have acid reflux. I was
Hmm.
eating, I'd pump like a protein shake right before going to bed, and I wake up like feeling nauseous all the time. And
Yeah.
it's because I was never letting my stomach rest.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't eat much in school. I had breakfast, but then my first meal after that would be when I come home, like at 2 p.m. or so. That was usually but the problem is that the meals I had were not nutritious, and they were very bad for me
Right.
because I'm allergic to wheat. But I would have
Uh-huh.
pizza or pasta every day.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
I always had asthma or allergies or irritated
Man.
eyes or pimples and stuff. And I always was
Right.
like, why me, why me? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was, yeah. I wish I had somebody back then telling me, hey, you have to change your diet.
Yeah. But
People
do you
didn't
think you
know.
would have changed back then if someone just told you? Because it's very
Yeah,
different discovering it yourself and
if they had proof that it's good, I would have tried some, because I've tried a lot of things. I've
right,
tried ointments.
right.
I've tried switching from milk to soy milk because I thought maybe it's
Hmm.
milk that's making me have pimples.
Yeah. Yeah.
But soy milk, for years I didn't drink milk. I only drank soy milk like once or twice a day, and I thought it was healthy. But then I realized no, it's not doing anything for me. It's all bullshit. So yeah, I don't know. I would like to spend more time or more effort promoting this in Taiwan, because a lot of people here have chronic diseases, but they don't know what it is. You just think, I mean, it's probably also
Yeah.
stress because people are overworked. And but yeah, I just feel like there has to be more opportunities in Taiwan for people to eat healthy, or they have to be aware what
Right.
healthy eating is, and people just don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
They think a healthy diet is just uh
Less oil, and then
yeah,
like
yeah.
boiled everything.
Yeah, and just
Right.
grains. They always think grains are good, but grains aren't really that
Yeah.
good for you. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your father does keto, or your father does low carb?
No, no, no. He he's still part of that bodybuilding mentality. He
Oh yeah.
juices a lot. He eats like every 2 3 hours,
Yeah.
but he eats uh vegan for most of the week, and he has about 2 meals of meat a week.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He doesn't eat processed foods. Juices a ton. He
Yeah.
juices like kilograms of carrots
Yeah.
every day, and different other
And
things like
he works out a
beets.
lot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. He still looks really young. How old is he?
yeah. 60 now.
Yeah,
60
crazy.
now.
Man, black don't crack, but I mean, he looks amazing.
Yeah,
Like not just his face, also his body. He looks like 40 or something.
yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's amazing. I
My
hope
inspiration.
a goal of mine is like the older I get, not necessarily I cannot get healthier as I get older. There's a limit, but I want to be in better shape now than I was at 30 or so. You know, I want to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
I want to stay young as long as possible. I want to stay healthy.
Your
Yeah.
health span. You want to increase your health span.
Yeah, definitely. All right, cool. Really enjoyed this podcast. I like your story. And
Oh, cheers, man.
do you still go on TV shows at the moment, or
Not
no?
really.
Yeah.
I just don't find the value in them.
Mm. You don't
The
have to,
pay
right?
is low. It's a
Yeah.
waste of time. They're like, oh, it's for exposure. I was like, I get more exposure from TikTok.
Right. Yeah.
What's the
I
point of
think I
doing
have to
that?
get on
Yeah,
that on that board on that train. I need to get on
for
TikTok
sure.
apparently, because I also want to promote my podcast a little more. You know, but I
Yeah,
find
you can
it.
put your podcast clips on TikTok.
Yeah. Because I feel like I post it on YouTube or Facebook and Instagram, but not a lot of people even see it. And I'm like, why is nobody seeing my videos? I think they're entertaining, but apparently it's not promoted by the algorithm. So yeah, I'll have to look into TikTok. Thanks for bringing that up.
I mean, it's also just it takes longer to build things like podcasts,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know, because
But I
it's
mean,
just long form. Like,
yeah, but it's just the clips itself, just the trailers.
mm,
You know, usually when I post a picture on Instagram, it might be liked by, let's say, 2,000-3,000 people. But
right,
then when it's a video of my podcast, only maybe 1,000 people see it, and I'm like, how is that possible that so
right.
few people even see it? That doesn't make sense. If I
You
have
need to put something in the beginning, like for example, like a
like a dick pic,
big tits jiggling, big
yeah.
tits jiggling or something. Yeah.
I hate those clickbaity things. Oh god. Every
They're
time
not
I
as
see them
common
on my
nowadays, though.
Instagram, I
Hey,
just like, no more of that content. When they fool
yes,
you,
yes.
fuck that. All right.
It's less common though now, right? Like I don't see that stuff as much.
It's
Like
probably
it's like a
they
tit, it's like tits and shit, and then it's not, you know.
yeah.
You can bring it back, bro. You can bring it back.
Nah, my
You're
tits.
the yeah. Oh yeah, milk.
All right. Yeah, I guess yeah, that's it for today. Thanks
All right. How do
for
you
coming
end the
on.
show usually?
I don't know, kind of like this. I'm not really good at ending stuff.
You know what you should do? You should take off your shirt and just start screaming. and
All right.
then I'll be like, oh my god. And
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
okay.
I have to unbutton my shirt.
And I'll be mid sentence. I'll be saying something like normal. I'll be like, so actually the stock market's been going up,
Okay.
and so actually the stock market's been going up. I feel like, oh, what's wrong with you, man? What the hell?
Okay, this is it. Did I scare him away? Oh my god, he's gone. Holy cow. He left. All right. See you, everybody. Bye bye.